The kids were ready to perform the production for the public. They knew their show was brilliant. Just a few months earlier, the Royal Shakespeare Company had spent the day with them and wept and cheered through an unforgettable performance. School officially ended that Friday at 2:19 p.m., but these children had volunteered to stay daily until 5. As they said their goodbyes, threw on their backpacks, and headed out the door, 6 of them stayed behind. 5 were going with me to the Dodgers game, and they were understandably excited. But the 6th, Sammy, was not, and I quickly grew concerned. When I first met Sammy, he was not popular with his teachers or classmates, and it was easy to see why. He couldn't sit still in class. He often spoke out of turn and rarely interrupted with the point that was even remotely relevant to the topic of conversation. In addition, he was filthy. He was unwashed, and his clothes were even worse. It wasn't that his personal habits were bad, he simply didn't have any. On the playground, he would take off his shirt, throw it on the dirty blacktop, and work up a terrific sweat running. At Hobart, kids know never to leave anything on the ground because any unattended backpack or article of clothing disappears within seconds of being left alone. But no one ever touched Sam's clothes. No one even wanted to go near them. After his activities were finished, Sam would pick up his shirt, use it to wipe the sweat off his face, and then put it back on. It wasn't a pretty sight. Sam didn't have friends among his peers or even supporters on the staff, and yet he and I slowly developed a friendship. Always on the outside looking in, Sam had spent his first 9 years following the path of least resistance. Never a joiner of anything, he had eventually signed on to many of the extra activities I offered. He was the final kid in the class to begin staying late for Shakespeare. Over early morning math lessons, lunchtime music sessions, and playing lots of catch, Sam had made tremendous progress. He discovered that he loved United States history, and once he found his great interest, a scholar was born. He devoured every book he could find on the subject, with a particular focus on the politics of war. His patriotic passion overflowed into his life. Sammy became more organized in his thinking. He started keeping himself clean. Now, after 11 months in the class, Sam was one of the gang. He had a lot of genuine friends, and he never felt better. But on this Friday night, he was depressed. He loved baseball, and I had to leave him behind from the game he desperately wanted to attend. He knew he would go to a game later that summer, but he was sad that he couldn't go that night. Spending an evening at Dodger Stadium obviously appealed to him more than being at home. Sam told me his mother would be coming to get him around 5:30 and asked if he could remain in the room after I left. I wanted to say yes, but I had been reprimanded several times by my bosses for allowing kids to stay late and study in room 56 after I had gone home. I understood their concerns. Although the administrators trusted my students to do the right thing, they were worried about liability problems and told me to discontinue the practice. As a classroom teacher with enough battles on my hands, I was more than happy to relent on this point and save my strength for more important issues. Sam promised me his mom was coming on the bus, and he sat on a playground bench near our classroom while he waited. The sun was shining, and although the ubiquitous gangsters had already taken over the basketball courts, there would be daylight for at least another 2 hours. I was confident that Sammy, the budding historian, would be okay. Even on Friday at 5 p.m., challenges like this face teachers who put in the extra mile. With Sam squared away, I could turn my attention back to the ballgame in our future. A few minutes later, a quintet of 5th graders piled into my van, dubbed the Oprah-mobile by my former students. Oprah was incredibly kind to help out my class several years ago, and we will be forever grateful for her generosity. The children were simply giddy. They were going to their first game and were well prepared.